Good evening, everybody. Welcome to episode 125 of New York Red Bulls Discussion Group. Gary Redmond here at your service. Greetings and salutations to you all. Well, the season is now over. We are all done and dusted. Of course, we're going to talk about basically the New York Red Bulls and Columbus Crew. And speaking of the New York Red Bulls and Columbus Crew, that's exactly who we're going to be facing in the playoffs for the next maybe 2 days or so. This is going to take place on Tuesday night and then on Sunday afternoon. That's right, you heard me. Sunday afternoon. More about that later. Of course, we're going to review Gotham FC action, all the hot takes for everybody in the live audience. To see you guys coming on right now. Good to all see you guys. And always remember that if you miss the live show, which is happening right now, okay, you can catch the recording on our YouTube, Goals TV, Spotify.com. We're also going live on X, aka Twitter.com. Of course, all the episodes will be uploaded the very next day when we are all done and dusted. And of course, as always, we've been doing this all year long, and we can't thank you guys enough. You guys have been great all year long. But as always, we're perfectionists, okay? We want to know how we're doing. So let us know. We welcome any feedback, good, bad, and different. We got an email address, so shoot us one at NYRBDG, the podcast, one word, at gmail.com. That's NYRBDG, the podcast, at gmail.com. And before we get any further, we want to give a shout out to a certain basketball team in Brooklyn. Congratulations to the New York Liberty 2024 WNBA champions. They're first. That's what happens when you get a new ownership that basically, does the need for the women. So congratulations to them. Oh, by the way, we won the weekend. We can talk about that later. But before we go any further, let me introduce, of course, our wonderful host. Of course, that is Lanre Badmonts and, of course, Lick Lianos. I read your recap. Good job, by the way, as always, Nick. Right down to the middle. These are the champs, right? They've been playing this way all season long. Unfortunately for us, gentlemen, the Red Bulls have been playing a certain way all year long, and this is something that we've been screaming about since day one. The first rule that when you take on the champs, what's they say? You come at the queen, you best not miss. They missed a lot, and that's a concern toward many of the fans going into the playoffs. Nick, before a single ball was kicked, what was your one singular thought at kickoff?
Please get up and be ready for these guys. Let's come out and be ready. And that didn't happen.
It did not happen. Somewhere out there, Lanre was probably relaxing in one of his 5 boats out there, the model being what he is, of course. Yeah. And then it took a look at the score line, and you wanted to jump, and you wanted to set fire to the damn thing. We said this constantly. This is the thing that drives Red Bull fans nuts, okay? They can't seem to get up for the teams below them in the standings. And then when you're facing teams above in the standings, they stub their toe. So even worse, they don't play a full game. Should that be a concern going into the playoffs? I mean, they're either playing 60-minute football. They're not playing 60-minute football. They're not even playing 45-minute football, okay? They're playing 45-minute football, thinking they can catch up against guys like Cincinnati, Miami, Columbus. This is the sort of thing that bangs people's heads to a wall. You agree?
Big time. Call me crazy. I think we would have had a chance to beat Cincinnati. They're not as strong as they have been the previous 2 years. When they Cincinnati. But the fact that Columbus smacked us, and yes, shout out to Emil Forsberg, for getting us back in that game, almost getting us a point. But the fact that Columbus just beat our butts, and now we gotta face them for this playoff series. I don't know why they were so hungry to play us, man. Oh, it's not gonna be fun, man. This ain't gonna be.
Why are they looking to play us? Look at our defense. It's full of Swiss cheese. That's what
it wasn't the case early in the season. In the first half of the season, we were doing quite well. Then came, then came League's Cup, and they took a nosedive. They literally took a nosedive. So we're talking about a season of 2 halves. We're going to discuss this with Anthony, of course, after the break. But we're talking about a season of 2 halves, right? First half, doing okay. They were legitimately, right, a 3rd place, 4th place team.
Yes.
You figure that at that point, okay, everything is cool. We never said that they were going to finish first, okay? I mean, and the expectations for the squad was low. But it was a nice surprise. Then we got the usual BS where they seem to just run out of gas. Either these guys are not in shape mentally, they're not playing together as a team, and that's pretty much, that's pretty much what we've all seen all year long. Yeah. So do you blame the roster, Nick? Do you blame the coach? Do you blame the organization, or all of the above? Your thoughts?
It's everything. It was 3 Forsberg injury, a Wiki injury, the breaks, the travel, the people going all over the place, the international breaks,
what was that?
Oh, that was my fault. Sorry. The international breaks going off, everybody going off. They never recovered with losing Forsberg. They never recovered from losing Wiki. They had no playmakers. Our strikers can't score. You call them the milk carton for a reason, because they don't score. There's a reason what's going on, and everything. And at the end, they ran out of gas, and it shows up in the first 15 minutes of the game. You saw it. Prime example of what happened. It was right there. You saw it.
Yeah. Speaking of that 15 minutes, as Nick alluded to, and also alluded to in his post game recap, the stupidity got started pretty much 2 minutes in. Not even me. Mr. Jackson, say hello.
Here come Columbus in the early stages. The champions purring in recent weeks on the back of a 4-0 victory. Here's Jackson, and in an instant start for Columbus crew. Aziel Jackson, the former Red Bull New York player, back at his old stomping ground.
Question the approach of the defending champions. You can tell from the immediate first minute of the match, and once again, it's Cucho Hernandez, the MVP, who just drops deep, the number 9, but only nominally today. You can see the way he drifts wide and then just lifts a perfect ball in, and into that space comes AZ Jackson, ghosting in.
See how much space he had to take the shot, make the shot, and make the goal. And yes, Jackson was a New York Red Bull product. Didn't make the team, went to Columbus. He comes off the bench. He does a little bit of damage, okay? He's the type of guy that can make an impact off the bench, but somehow he's not on ours. Strike to Mr. Snyder. You want to wonder why guys like him seem to, like disappear, and then he comes back to bite us in the back. Not indeed. 12 minutes later, okay, we have Mr. Treberko, and this was the goal, Nick, that had you livid. Okay, I mean, it was in your writing. You were livid at this goal, folks. Take a very good look at how this play broke down, and you'll see why.
Jackson again on the intervention, and it's another wonderfully worked goal. Columbus crew are flying, and it's the centre half. Yevgeny Treberko with his first goal in Major League Soccer. Columbus crew are ripping through Red Bull New York in their own backyards.
Comes from the left side, creating these wide overloads and bringing numbers in these positions. Aziel Jackson just puts his foot on it, plays back, gets it back again, and then this ball right here he's about to play to pick out through the middle. The runner, just perfect. Just to see that run coming from the right center back. Yevgeny Treberko playing a little bit in the position of Steven Moreira, who's out through to injury. Steps up with his first in MLS. It's a comfortable finish, a great first touch with the left, and then Coronel would like to have that one back, but it's been all Columbus to begin this match, and Aziel Jackson playing provider.
Absolutely abysmal. Absolutely. from ball watching to this. No one picked up Shabakov. No one.
Center back that ran the aisle the first time, didn't see it, walked back, and then did it again.
I mean,
and I think it was Carballo that wasn't paying attention to him the first time, and he didn't pay attention to him the second time. What is Neil Carnell should have made a better play on the ball? That's irrelevant. How's this guy getting wide open in the middle of the field? I'm sure that's
what Carnell was thinking. Who picked this guy up? Anybody? Somebody?
Somebody's got to. Hey, yo, pick him up.
Didn't happen. Right. And so when the first half pretty much ended, fans booed the squad off the field. You heard the South Ward chanting, "Sell the team." That's happened. I've heard that in a while. Fans were fed. Fans were fed up. Okay, and it did not look good for all intents and purposes. Folks were behind us in the press box, which we're not going to be there after this year. Long story short, we're gonna, fans were, were wondering, why did I come here? This is fan appreciation day. Yeah, I appreciate being embarrassed again. It was ugly, boys. It was ugly. Okay, but this was pretty much par for the course this year. We talked about how this team happens to, for some reason, they played poorly in the first half, and then all of a sudden they decided to eat their spinach in the second half and become the very team that we would expect them to be, Lon Ray, all season long. And does that annoy you a little bit?
It annoys me to no end. Honestly, like the fact that we had such a great start and then we've just been in a complete tailspin since June, July.
Correct.
It's extremely frustrating. And in the end, we finished only 4 points and 1 place ahead of where we were last year. Right. Finishing last year, 7th this year, 47 points this year versus 43 last year. I mean, it's what can I say? It's another year starting in 2 as a fan of the New York Red Bulls football club.
I mean,
I don't know why we're all surprised at this point.
We're not. Most of us aren't. I mean, and most of us, for some reason, say, you know what, we deserve this. Maybe we do. But then second half, in came the captain. The captain showed up and said, you know what, enough of this. And he delivered a nice
one. It's encore. Forsberg cleverly into the path of Morgan as Red Bull seek relevance. Forsberg. Emil Forsberg. Now then. Red Bull back in. Emil Forsberg said he wants to take responsibility. He's done just that on decision day in Major League Soccer.
Red Bull New York are known for going quickly, but they've missed that pause, that bit of composure. And they've missed their number 10. Emil Forsberg has been out injured for the back half of this season. You can see the quality immediately here. Gets the pass from Morgan, but this patience to cut it back across Sawatsky and then just pass it in the back of the net past Hagen. Played in the biggest matches and the best competitions. You can see the run here, but it's the composure to just hit pause there.
Yeah, at that point, the fans were really in it, okay? It was loud, guys. I mean, one thing we love about our arena, right? You can have maybe 15, 10,000, what have you, and it sounds like 20. That it was pretty, it was pretty loud because fans were sensing a comeback, okay? And that was great for that was great for for the time being. And then then we got to the 87th minute. We figured out it's going to be a loss. But then once again, Forsberg forcing the issue. And this is why I said his signing was simply not enough. I wish we had more guys like him, okay, on the roster. More of that later when we talk with Anthony. But this was the sort of thing to make you wonder and wish. Imagine if he was healthy all year. And this is the type of stuff that he can do when he was with Leipzig. He has a tendency to get on a horse, ride it, have the boys ride with him, and they rock. Okay, this is the reason why when he was leaving Leipzig, he said, "You're getting a good dude." Well, he's coming precisely as advertised. So in the 87th minute, Here's Forsberg again.
And that one with just Dunkor sitting a little bit deeper here.
Forsberg. Morgan. A deflection falls into the path of Elias Manuel. Penalty! Here I come.
See, the ball comes out wide, and it takes a deflection on the way up, which allows Elias Manuel to get position. Camacho is just behind him. He's established it. You can see the arms come around and just pulls down.
To deliver in these big moments, it's Emil Forsberg who scores! He grabs the game by the scruff of the neck, and in the dying embers of Decision Day, Red Bull relevant again!
For someone to grab the game and bring them back in it, and when it went to the spot, there was only one man to do it. Emil Forsberg, the number 10, has been missing down.
Yep, it was a missing man. I mean, we all were wondering at this point, where would this team would be if he was healthy all year long? Okay, he has a tendency to do this, guys, and this is something I said to you in the beginning of the season. It was like, Forsberg, old guy. Nah, this is a guy that literally took an entire club, entire franchise, a club. That's the difference between a club in Germany and a franchise in America. This dude single-handedly grabbed this team from a third level in Germany and propelled them all the way to the Bundesliga. This dude, the fans refer to him as his hero. He's got legendary status back there. And he did, and before he left, 2 German League Cups, DPL, DP Pokal, before he sayonara'd over to Harrison.
Semifinal in Champions League.
Up, semifinal.
That's right.
Practically willed them right to that position before they ran into a very good team and sliced and diced them. But hey, they love him over there. They do. They love him over there. So when he came over to Harrison, we got nothing but good vibes from the folks that over in Leipzig. Say, hey, you're getting the good baller. Take care of him. He'll do some nice things. Now, when we mean by nice things, surround him with decent talent like his level. That didn't happen. Of course, that didn't happen. It just, and the good vibes are going fine until 7 minutes into stoppage time. And for some reason, another incident that made Nick livid, wondering what in the blaze happened at that point. They committed the unforgivable sin. I'm going to let you guys watch what Nick was talking about in his review.
The game to come into. Amundsen, goal! Columbus Crew find a way, as they have done all season long.
Amundsen just finding that little bit of space at the top of the box here. They've got a goal already from one center back, and now you can add another one to that. It's a crushing one as well, and potentially a big one. When you think of the points that are going to be added to Columbus Crew this season, they jockey for position, home field advantage, not just in the Eastern Conference, but potentially also with the West and the ex-New York City man.
You blew it!
Pretty much. I mean, we know the young teams pretty much make mistakes, okay? Lanre, that was, believe it or not, that was not even their top 10. But there it was for everyone to see. Your thoughts?
I just took my glasses off.
You're gonna scream.
I have nothing good to say. The fact that we gave up 2 goals from their center backs is a disgrace.
Yeah.
An
ball watching, Nick.
Abject embarrassment of epic proportion. And that's what feels like supporting this club every single year. Not only is there no progress being made, tangible steps being made to even become relevant in the Eastern Conference again, we're regressing every year.
Rant alert.
Oh, what are we doing, bro?
Didn't show the highlight. Didn't show that turnover, which we should never have been conceded in the first place. That didn't show what Wiki did to set this up for them. It was a bad pass to going nowhere, where he tried to inside foot it to the middle of the field, which was instantly cut off, bounces off him and goes right out of bounds. Now they get a throw in, and no one takes the guy. Who you supposed to you're supposed to let him walk into the box?
And that's exactly what he did. He just
okay.
If you're
not gonna do it, I'll take the shot. And
waltz right there, Scooby Dooby Doo. Oh, no one's gonna block me. Okay, right.
Took a shot. Amazed.
What is
it's a comedy. It's a comedy every year.
I mean, just like that. You know, like just waltz, right? Ay. I mean, you see these sort of things on Sunday League Soccer. Not this, okay? But this is par for the course. I mean, no matter, no matter what, I expected in a game late, right? You just tied this game. I expected dudes bodying each other. Even if you commit a foul, right, Lonray? Body the dudes, right? Like, hi, you're not getting past me, okay? We're going to harass you all night.
Literally.
They just said,
You couldn't hear. It was so loud at that stadium at that point. The place was loud. You couldn't hear it.
Rocking. It was.
They announced the extra time. I had no idea what they announced. I didn't hear it. I didn't hear the substitution for Aiden O'Connell got into the game. I had no idea he got into the game. No one heard anything. There was no announcements, nothing going on. You couldn't hear a thing in there. And the players took 2 seconds off, and it bit them right in the butt, like it did in the first 2 minutes into the game, and it did in the 12th minute. You can't shut it off ever, and they haven't learned that lesson yet. What's this like? This is game 34.
Game 30.
Haven't learned that lesson yet.
Final score: New York Red Bulls losing to the champs by a score. Columbus Crew by a score of 3-2. Jackson, Sherberko, and Edmundson. That was the last goal you saw in the 7th minute. That's extra time. Forsberg with a brace, his 78th and 87th minute in PK. The one thing that I noticed about the Columbus Crew throughout this entire campaign, guys, they didn't panic. They did not panic at all. But this is what champs do. They sit, they wait. They wait until you make a mistake. And I'm using a boxing reference. And, you got a guy who got in through punches, got in through, headshots here. And he's feeling good. He's like, oh, yeah, he's feeling cocky. And then he doesn't see the kill shot. He doesn't see it, right? I mean, you see it in MMA. Right. You see it in MMA. You see the traditional boxing, guys, fighters look, he's feeling good. He's like, oh, yeah, I got this. And then pop, that's it. You drop, you're on the floor. You're looking embarrassed. Not even a 10 count. You're just out. That's basically it. That's basically it. I mean, you're laying flat like a piece of bacon. That's it. You're out. So you're out. I mean, 99. And the thing that it frustrates you still, this wasn't their A squad, gentlemen. It wasn't. No. It wasn't. Okay, it wasn't. Cucho had Cucho basically had what is a cameo appearance, and he got subbed out in 45 minutes. Okay. And yet Rossi, he came in the second 45 minutes. Okay. He did his thing, didn't do very much, didn't have to do very much, but that's what I guarantee you, game 1, they're going to be fully armed and fully loaded to knock you out. They're going to just say, you know what? We're tired of these guys. Will the Red Bulls step up in that? Here's the captain after the game with his thoughts and his words, what most of us in the press have.
You guys go down 2-0 to start this game. Coach calls you guys over and has like a mini team meeting. Just what did he say in that moment? How did you guys rebound from that?
Yeah, I feel like everybody felt that we were too passive in the first 20 minutes. I think we didn't get the pressure we wanted. I think they could just play around a little bit, and we know they're good at the ball, with the ball, so it was easy for them. We gave them easy solutions, so to say, in this kind of way, and then we changed, and I think the last 20-25 minutes were was good. We got some good pressures. Of course, it's a good team with the ball, but I think overall the last 20 minutes in the first half was also good. And then second half, I think we came out really, really good. I think we were dangerous. We hurted them and we created chances, and we showed them and ourselves what we can do when we play with that kind of intensity, and that we're a really good team when we do that, and that we can hurt them. So I think we have a lot to take with us before the playoffs now.
You talk about the playoffs. Obviously, you have Champions League experience, so now you're about to play Columbus for at least 2 times, maybe even 3 times. What type of experience can you bring from your Champions League over to this type of playoffs?
I mean, when it comes to playoffs, it's small details. If you have your day or not, that you're prepared, mentally prepared for every situation that occur. And I think that's something I'm going to push with the guys and that we're going to go through to be ready. Small things, details, easy things, but also to have believe in yourself, in ourselves as a team, what we can achieve. I think we've been beating some of the good teams in this season. It's been a long season. All the results haven't been what we wanted to, but in those games, and I think everybody should not forget, we created a lot of chances. We didn't score. Overall, we had a good season with players taking big steps during out the seasons, and now it's time for the playoffs. And yeah, small details. Be ready. Be confident in yourself and with the team, and we have big possibilities.
That second half, it really saw the shift in this team go into another gear, and I really want to thank your shot off the post. That was like the kickstarter to it. Just what small things do you think changed to create those changes? Because when you had that shot, you were in wide open space for a game where Crew had you covered double time almost.
Yeah, I mean, sometimes it's about small mistakes, or even the ball flips here and there. But I think overall, what we did is we were clear on the ball. We played forward. We wanted to attack, and we know that with Dante or with Luis, we have 2 quick strikers who can always be ready to go behind. And I think that, and being clear with the ball, confident with the ball, play the ball forward, play 1-2, be confident, because we have the quality to do that. If we do that, we're going to create a lot of chances like we did in the second half. And of course, they are going to create chances because it's a good team. But I think second half showed a lot of what we can do, and we have to be confident with that and take that with us now when we go to Columbus.
Emil, you've now been here for a full season. Some growing pains here and there, injury on and off the field. Just your overall impression of what this year has been, new to the league, new to the club, and how would you evaluate the team's growth since?
Yeah, I mean, it's been a long year, and I think, like I said, from when I came until now, I've been injured for a lot of games. I was out for, 3 months. Was it 3 months? Something like that. Yeah, so, I mean, for me, I think we started really well. We played fantastic football, soccer, whatever. But I think we developed very well. We have players taking big steps. I think Frankie, we sold him now, but he played fantastic. We have Danny taking steps. Then we had Petey, who got injured, taking steps. Wiki taking steps. We have Ronnie now playing. I mean, we have a lot of guys that's been taking big steps, getting more confident, but also needs to be taking more responsibility, and that's exactly what you need in this kind of situation. So in that way, I think it's been a great year for us, but it comes down to what comes now, and I think we can do a lot of things better and learn from what we've done now this season. And I'm excited for the playoffs, to be honest. I'm very excited and motivated. I feel good. The body feels good, and I'm just excited to go. I think we got to create that feeling now within the team that we're excited, we're ready to go, and gonna enjoy it.
Last question.
How does this game help you prepare for the first round of the playoffs against this same team?
I mean, it's a team that likes to have the ball, likes to play, but they also make mistakes, as we could see. If we can be a little bit more clear on the ball, good on the ball, on those situations, to create even more chances, I think we can hurt them more. Of course, it's a good team, but we're a good team as well. So I'm confident. I'm going to Columbus confident.
If you look at 2 of the games that they played, guys, right? This was the common theme. When they minimize the mistakes and play very well, I'm not saying they can beat Columbus, but they can go toe-to-toe with them. But then comes the inevitable mistake they make, and from there, it rolls downhill. From that, because I looked at the first game, and that's pretty much what they were doing fine. Okay, they were doing fine, but then the mental breakdowns, the focus disappears, and then the team's cohesiveness just evaporates, and then that's when Columbus comes in and it just simply slices your wrists and then that's it. It's done. So, with that said, I mean, he's confident, but can the rest of the team say the same? Your thoughts? Lon Ray, you're first.
No, I don't think the rest of the team can reasonably say the same. I think they just look at the fact like, okay, this isn't all of Columbus's starting 11, and they still beat us. Like, what's going to happen on Tuesday the 29th? They're going to probably play them off the park. They really need to tighten up. Like Matt said in the comments, this might be the worst defensive team I've seen in a while. Yeah, I think this has to be the worst defensive Red Bulls team I've seen in at least a decade.
Well, the first half it wasn't like that so much, right? I mean, they wasn't giving up that many goals in the first half. It was just in the second half they were like giving up goals like a thief. Okay, so I mean, yeah, I mean, it's like all of a sudden, and it goes back to what we said: focus, right? I mean, if they can able to stay together, stay within their own selves, and not make those mistakes, I honestly believe that they can be able to beat any team out there. But that's the problem. They don't focus. They're not as cohesive as as we think they are. They are a young squad. And while I don't think they fear any of the big teams, it's like you're not playing as a squad, and there's like playing like a collection of guys. I mean, everyone's depending on one another. Well, when I see a team, I see a team helping out their strengths and covering up their weaknesses, which is something that the Crew does very well. Head coach Wilfred Nancy put it very plainly. I don't have to worry about my team because everyone knows their role.
Yes.
Everyone knows their role. Everyone knows exactly what they got to do. That's one hell of an endorsement, Nick.
He pointed out too. He goes, we let them play our game for 15 minutes, and they were very good on those 15 minutes. That's the problem, though. He's pointing out that we only played our way for 15 minutes. Where were the other 75 minutes? What were we doing for the other 70?
Yeah.
That's the huge problem.
That's the huge problem. That's the thing that we pointed out. They don't. I mean, they haven't. They have yet. I have seen for the last 2 seasons now. I have yet to see the only time I've seen these guys play a 90-minute game is when they were the last team in the last game standing to get in the playoffs. That's when they played a 90-minute game.
We played 2 90-minute games. The game in Atlanta when we blew them out 5-0.
Right.
And you can say Nashville too. Yeah, that's one.
That's one.
I can't remember the other one. Maybe the couple of the League Cup games that we played a great 90 minutes. Last year,
a solid 90-minute game from end to end.
No, last year, no, it wasn't that. Last year it was always the second half that was a problem. The first half was great. The second half was the problem.
Right, second half. I mean, you disappear in the second half. It's like, okay, you get great 45 minutes, but playing a 45-minute game in a 90-minute game, 90-plus game, that ain't going to happen. You're not going to win games, period. And then when you go up against very good teams like Cincinnati, like Columbus, and hey, maybe Miami, you got to put in full weight or you're done. And that's why folks, even the folks at MLS are saying, enjoy your brief stay, because that's exactly what's going to happen. Speaking of which, we're going to be talking about that with the erstwhile Anthony Merced after the break. But here are the final scores of the final week of Major League Soccer. We'll be back in about 30 seconds. Anthony, I am dreading that game on November 3rd because, first of all, it'll be on my birthday. That's when I'll turn 58. And somehow after the game, I'm going to be 68.
Well, first and foremost, thank you for having me on. Secondly, you did not talk about the real news, which is my New York Yankees are once again in the World
Hey,
Series.
I'm a Yankee
the Dodgers.
I wanted to wear. I wanted to wear my Yankee hat, but I said, you know what? I know there's some Dodger fans out there. They're gonna be coming after me if I do, but I'm gonna wait.
I will leave my baseball conversation with this. If you go to Dodger Stadium, you will see what happens to a team when you flush it down the toilet in Brooklyn.
Okay.
And on that note, we move on.
Let's go next. I'm not gonna watch it though.
So I do have another bone to pick. Hold on. So Gary, you said something earlier. I want to criticize this team every which way they should be criticized, but we have to be accurate about something. You said something about Israel Jackson earlier.
Go ahead.
You said thank you, Joachim, for that, right?
Yeah, right.
He has not been with this club in the academy since 2017.
Okay.
And he left the academy to move to France with his family to be in the Toulouse system. And one of the big complaints Red Bull has been yelling about has been the re-entry system. And he ended up being signed as a homegrown by a completely different team in their academy because of that system. So let's yell about Red Bull for everything that we should. This is one that wasn't on them.
Okay.
Oh, wow.
I humbly retract that statement. Okay.
And Lanre, the defensive comment you made. This team has given up as many goals as the LA Galaxy. Their problem is they can't score. That's the problem.
I wonder why that is, man. Don't you think there's a position that needs?
Oh yeah, let's start. Do we want to start there?
Let's go.
So look, the biggest failure this year has been on offense. It's been in an area that I've yelled about the most, but maybe I think some people have attacked certain players less than others. I think the real blame is there is a designated player that has not produced this year, and that is Dante Van Zier. You look at that. It is 4 goals in however many games. He did not have any major injury spells this year. We've got double-digit goals from Lewis Morgan. I don't have Elias's numbers in front of me, but I believe it's like 11 or so like that.
8 goals this year.
8. It's only 8. Oh, so maybe all competitions it's 11.
8.
He's and Elias is a guy off the bench. He's not a designated player. So the fact that you only got 4 out of Van Zier this entire year, I think that was the big thing that they missed all year long, was having that put down striker out front. And it's not like he didn't get his chances. It just didn't work out this year.
Yep. And I will say, I mean, guy's got a good nose, for finding the open man. He's got 9 assists. He's leading our team by far. But man,
he wasn't brought in here to do that. He wasn't brought in here to get assists.
Problem. He wasn't. Yeah, exactly. He wasn't brought in here to do that. Yeah. He was brought in to score goals. He was banging them in with aplomb in Belgium. He comes here. He lays 2 consecutive seasons worth of stinkers. Okay, year 1, injury problems. Maybe some problems acclimatizing to the culture of the United States. Okay, fine. We'll give him the 1 free year. This year, what's the issue? Outside of Forsberg missing probably most of the season at this point, what's the issue, man?
And I believe Emil Forsberg at this point has 9 goals on the season. So
yeah.
So and again, and Emil, for those that don't know, Emil Forsberg has 2 seasons in his entire career where he scored double-digit goals. So this is not a guy that is not supposed to be your goal scorer. He's supposed to be the guy that makes it. The idea of bringing Forsberg in was that he was going to make everybody in front of him better. There's an argument to be made that he's done that with Lewis Morgan. When he wasn't there, Morgan played more on the wing to compensate for the position that Forsberg was not in. But when they're both playing together, their interchanging works well. The truth of the matter is that Dante Van Zier has not produced the goals. And I like Dante, by the way. I just want to make that very clear. I think he is – I don't think that there is a lack of effort on his part. I think there is the reality of MLS is a lot harder of a league than a lot of guys that come from Europe think that it is.
This is the one thing that brought. Now, this is the one thing that I talked about, guys. That a lot of people don't give this league a lot of credit. It's a physical league. Okay, it really is. Okay, you're talking about over in Europe where, Lauren, you said it best. Your recent Premier League game, a lot of dudes were just standing around, just taking passes. 1 Mississippi, 2 Mississippi. There you go. In MLS, no, someone's trucking you the minute you get that ball. So, and you have defenders. Okay, never mind center backs, fullbacks, left wingers. They're like, they're like linebackers. Okay, big boys. Okay, and they're running over you just to get, just to get that ball. And this is the thing this is one of those things that a lot of people don't give this league credit. Okay, they expect tiki-taka, passes and stuff like that. Even Messi had to deal with a lot of games, but he had to bang a lot of bodies just to get free. And that's why he was injured half the year, because young dudes, they don't care who he is. They're like, look, you're Messi. So what? You're old. I'm just going to run you over. Of course, he schools him half the time, but how many times you've seen him getting fouled a lot by big boys? Okay, there you go. So that's the one thing. I'm not giving any baller an excuse. I'm sure when he inquired about the league, I'm sure this is what the team told him. Hey, look, I'm just going to let you know out here, they're not going to let you just sit around and take the ball. They're going to run you over. So you better be ready. You better be ready to rock. And Anthony and I, we've watched a lot of games. We watched a lot of matches, even in MLS Next Pro. Same style.
It's even worse, the physicality, yeah.
The physicality, they bang at each other. I mean, the only difference is these are kids. So they're not going to get hurt like that. So I can imagine someone 30 plus getting trucked after once in a while. They're not going to get up so often. However, what does concern me about Van Zier, and I like him too, I'm thinking it's a little bit more mental than physical. Something has switched off. I mean, you see it. I mean, you see him jogging after the play. You see him just standing around waiting for the ball. It's almost like he's fighting with himself to be the baller he wants to be, but yet he's not ready to get out of his comfort zone. Would you agree with that, Anthony?
So let's be fair about one thing here, right? He signed on to a completely different coach.
That is true.
Gerhard Struber's way of playing football, and this is actually going on now. There's a big argument happening in the Premier League now when it comes to Erling Haaland about why he's not fitting in well with Pep Guardiola. And I think all of us that have watched the Premier League for a long time went, he's not fitting in because that's not the kind of striker that Pep ever has. Right. The same thing may be the issue with Van Zier here. He signed on for a very different coach. Then he got Troy Lesesne, who did a good job of activating him late in the season before he, got upended and had that back injury or the hip injury, whichever one it was. Coming in, Sandro is an interesting and very German coach. His approach to the game, if you watch the Bundesliga a lot, teams like Augsburg, teams like Mainz, if you watch those teams, there's a lot of similarities in how they play. And there's not a emphasis on feeding the striker. And if Dante came into this thinking this is what it was going to be, it hasn't been. But he also hasn't adapted to, and I know Lanre said, I believe it was Lanre said that, his assist numbers are the best in the team. But even still, they're not like incredibly impressive numbers to the point where you can be like, that's okay. I remember, I think it was 2014, right? When Thierry Henry's last year, he went from being the goal scorer to being the assist guy, to being the more like a number 10. He's not even really falling back on that. He's just kind of lost out there. And I don't want to say that's because he's not a good player. I just don't know if he necessarily fits into what Sandro is doing on this team.
So basically, if they need to get someone to replace him, right? They need to get someone more of Sandro's mold. Is that what you're saying, Anthony?
Yeah, pretty much. I think they need if to use an old New Jersey Devils term, crash the net kind of striker. They need a guy who's going to be on his horse and kind of running a lot of ugly goals. And we've seen that from Lewis Morgan a bit. We've seen that from Elias Manuel at different times, although he has also shown a propensity to have a really good shot from time to time. You really need that kind of striker that's gonna be there, that's gonna body guys, that's gonna be kind of like that NBA center kind of feel to it. That's why Christian Benteke has done so well in this league, is because he can be there, he can body guys, he can make goals out of messes. And Red Bull makes a lot of mess in the box. They don't have players right now that can
take
put that in the back of the net.
Right.
Yeah,
Mike, Anthony, sorry, Gary. My question is Van Zier a little too passive for you coming up? Meaning he's not taking the shot when it's there for him. I've seen it a couple of games that you saw.
Yeah, I mean,
that he didn't. He had the shot. He had the ability to take the shot. And he just went, nah. I'd rather defer and pass. He deferred to again in like Chicago. He did it a couple of times too. He passed it to Harper instead of taking the shot. Take the shot, man. What's is it? Gary pretty much said it too. Is it a mental thing, or is he just preferring to pass it now because he's stuck in that middle spot?
It could be a mental thing. I'm not going to go too much into that because, again, like I haven't talked to him in quite a while. But I will say that he seems to me like the kind of player that has his spots on the field that he wants to take shots from. And if he is not in those spots, he is looking elsewhere in those moments. Because you're absolutely right. There were even moments in this game where there were balls that were played in, and in my head, I'm like, shoot it on goal. I mean, it may not be a high percentage area, but like see what happens kind of thing. He doesn't appear to me to be a see what happens kind of striker. He's got his areas on the pitch that he wants to take his shots in, and if he doesn't, he does lift his head up and look around. It's not like he's not Barlowing the ball. Sorry, Tom, I love you. But like he's not doing anything like that. But he at the same time, he was brought in those moments to make something happen, and a lot of times he's slowing the progress down in those moments. Red Bulls play a very high line. They like to break a lot, and when you take a moment. The only person that should be taking a moment is Emil Forsberg, because that's literally what he was brought in to do. He was brought in to slow down and control the offense in certain moments, and he does that incredibly effectively. When it gets to Van Zier, that's not his job in those moments, but sometimes he is doing that, and it leads to other players being out of position and balls just going into the nether realm, essentially.
Here's a question. Here's a question I may want to ask Anthony. I think we talked about this a little bit, right? Say it's the off season, right? And you got to make some changes. Do you give up on Van Zier to move on with someone else? You paid you paid $5 million to bring him here, right?
But that doesn't matter. That I don't think that really. They've had 2 years with him. They did the same thing with Klamala, and they moved on. So, and they moved on from other guys in a similar fashion.
That's true.
I think the real thing is, can they find their guy first off, and if they want a spot. I was about to say a declarative, but I'm not going to do that. If they want a spot in the DP order, they have it. If they want to keep Van Zier, Carballo's on a loan as a designated player. The loan is until January. So if the loan is up, they can walk away from it. There's no that's it, right? And then you've got a DP spot, and you can go make it happen.
Wait, Anthony, I thought it was for until June.
Oh, June. You're right. It's June. Still, it's a loan. It's not a
not a contract.
No, right. It's a loan.
Loans can be ended.
Yes, anytime.
Right. There may be a fee associated with it, but I don't think that fee. I don't believe MLS. If you break an MLS loan fee, that it goes against the salary cap. Although I'm sure that they're one of the great guys at The Athletic that can tell me otherwise. That really dig down into these numbers. But there is a spot there. If you do need to move Van Zier, you can. You're going to take a loss on him, but that's not something that this team has been afraid of in the past. They've taken losses on guys before to clear up a spot and then bring somebody in. Who that is, I mean, I know the Polish striker is out there and everybody's been hearing his name. I've heard the same things. There are other names out there. I can say this now because it isn't happening. Salzburg's Fernando was one of the guys that was in there. He got a late season, very, very, very bad injury late in the season. Still has not played a game late in last season, has not played at all this year for Salzburg. Not a thing, not going to happen. There are other names that I can't say that are floating around. None of them are huge names that everybody's going to go, OMG, that guy again. There are the other names that keep floating around, the Yusuf Paulsons of the world, who may be interested again in coming over. I would love that. Yusuf Poulsen is only like 31, I think. I don't even think he's like just
pretty young.
I know that guy's played like forever, and but he's another guy that's in that system. Maybe there are options. His team is looking at it, but it will not be what everybody expects, like a an LAFC type signing or an Alan Pulido or something like that.
What do you mean? We're not getting Memphis Depay as they promised?
Well, what? Okay, hold on. I want to clear up the Memphis Depay thing for a second.
I'm gonna grill you for that one, homie.
Oh my God, Memphis Depay was never on Red Bull's radar. First off,
but
secondly, when was the last time you watched Memphis Depay play football?
Well, he played in Brazil, but he just got his contract terminated.
Yes.
What?
Yes.
He cannot run anymore.
He's that cooked?
So I'm not going to say he's totally cooked, but if you're going to ask him to run back and forth, it ain't happening anymore.
Yeah,
this is not, Atletico Madrid, Memphis Depay. Like, this is,
He fell off so quick.
Ankle injuries can do that to you.
Oh, God.
Well, the big news that came out in Red Bull land that basically generated a collective shrug, if not anything. If anything, was former Liverpool manager Jurgen Klopp. Okay, he is now the new head of Red Bull Global Football. Now, if you don't know what that means in the hierarchy, that basically means he oversees all the football operations that all the teams that Red Bull owns and operates. So the very first thing that folks around here in these parts, they feel like Red Bull New York is nothing more than a stepchild, outside stepchild, and not getting all the grave and the glory of how it's, especially for the teams over in Leipzig, over in Salzburg, and maybe he should come here and fire everybody and start over. That's not going to work that way, and that's not how it works. However,
that's Mario Gomez's job.
Right, exactly. That's
somebody's got to do it. Somebody got to sack up and do it, man. You calling me a troll, Anthony.
Mario basically pokes his head in. We've seen him a number of times here in Harrison. He pokes his head in, and then he reports to the folks over in Leipzig. Say, okay, what's working, what's not working. I'm sure that season before that, they put feet to the fire of Mr. Schneider and said, okay, whatever you're doing here, it's not working. Okay, hence the word that's not enough. But I think that they're not done here yet. So I think they're going to report over to Red Bull Global, and there's going to be a lot of discussions on what the direction this team is going. It's been, the last time this team had a very positive direction. You guys all know this was back in 2018. Since then, they've been basically wandering through mediocrity and everything else. And that's not what, Red Bull may be a very annoyingly German thing, but even they want success, and they're not seeing it. And so if you're playing in the shadow of, is it the shadow, Anthony, or is we're not going to say the shadow of the biggest, sports market in the world, and you're slipping between irrelevancy and otherwise, you're investing in the infrastructure. And now a lot of folks that's like poo-pooing the training center. That's a big flex. You're spending something north of, what's it now, 200 million right now of this new facility. If you don't know what it's going to wind up looking like, take a snapshot when you ever get a chance. See Bragantino's new training center. Oh my Lord, this thing is a palace in comparison. And other clubs, Lanier, you showed me, Nick, you showed me, Seattle Sounders, they're building fantastical training centers. Don't believe me? See Charlotte's. Have you seen Charlotte's Training Center? My goodness. The only difference is they haven't got an academy system yet. This one will. So everyone's saying, well, is that going to help us win a cup? Well, put it this way. If you're going to get that big-time baller, what's the first thing they're going to look at? Your training center. Right. Hey, and if you're looking like short and something north of, I don't know, maybe JUCO college. I'm sorry, but that's what it looks like to me, Anthony. JUCO college, or maybe even over the high school, you're not going to be very impressed. Now, if you have something more like an NFL style with weight room, pool room, this room, that room, and an academy to boot, hey, that's impressive. At least that's what I'm hoping to see. At least that's what they're doing. That's what, again, with the ding. At least that's what, that's not mine. At least that's what they're going to able, but that's what the training center is going to be built first. And from the information we got from Anthony Vazano, then the the academy. No, the academy is going to be a living academy. So kids are going to be living there, training and everything else. It's
is going to be a full-on European academy. So,
it's going to be twice the size. Academy. Yeah. So the difference at the center is that they can board youth. Did I make that up? No. This is what they're going to do. Yep. They're going to room and board there, Lisa, right there on the site. So they're going to, most academy systems, Lisa, all the big soccer clubs, they have this. Okay, they have this.
And the kids are paid.
Red Bull will probably, Bull's probably going to have the only one in the metropolitan area surrounded by kids with talent. They see that. Oh, I want to play for Red Bull. There you go.
Yeah, the only issue that Red Bull has right now is the fact that they can't go out and grab the talent from other areas that are not using it. Like, for instance, the LA, the Southern California area, maybe that might change with San Diego. There are so many kids in that area. There's so many kids in the Northern California area. And a lot of times teams in other markets can't go grab them because of geo-locking rules in the league that says you can't go into that market and grab those kids. And so you get things like, I don't know if you guys remember this guy, Efrain Alvarez, years ago, who was so great, so good that he literally pushed himself into the LA Galaxy lineup before going to Mexico. It's things like that they want. Years ago, Jake LaCava was one of these guys where, they really, really wanted to sign him, and they ran into some issues with that because he was out of the Barcelona, Arizona academy, situation. And now I think he's playing on the Tampa Bay Rowdies or something like that. There's all these kinds of moments that happen. This was what Oliver Minthov meant all of those weeks ago, where he said that MLS is progressing in a slower way than they would like. There are rules within this league that they want done away with. It's not like salary cap things. No. It's a lot of the machinations underneath that those of us that are watching game to game don't care about, that we're never going to see. But until those players get developed and they go, oh, wow, that kid came in 2020 and now he's here. But Red Bull has been doing a tremendous job of that. In spite of that, I mean, look at Caden Clark this past weekend, who had a goal and assist against NYCFC and literally ran his mouth like a Red Bull player. It's to be fair, Longray didn't have that crazy of a rant.
Yeah.
No, but I gotta ask you something.
Oh, here we go.
Now they
Let's do one-on-one, bro.
Come on, man. This is the main event.
Let's go.
No, I hope you brought your best, man, because I brought my best defense here, bro. No, I hope you brought your defense, because I'm bringing all the top guns right now, man.
Go for it.
Let me ask you. So we had a little bit of a difference, or like a disagreement with regards to the impact that Jurgen Klopp can have on Red Bull New York specifically. I want to know what exactly makes me a troll for questioning how much that he is going to help us win MLS Cup. Believe me, I mean, Jurgen Klopp is one of the greatest, most brilliant football minds ever.
I'll tell you exactly what it is.
Okay.
He is not going to have any influence on one individual team. So if you've ever been, and this is the part that pisses off a lot of soccer fans when it comes to Red Bull, if you've ever worked for a big corporation and they do they do like those stupid retreats, right? You know how they like all call you to like, hey, you're all gonna go to like, I don't know, the Poconos or something,
Tahiti, what have you, right?
And they're gonna make you sit in a stupid room where you all have to eat the same bad lunch, and they're gonna give you a PowerPoint presentation of how everybody should do the same thing, but none of you work in the same environment. That's the kind of thing that's happening with Jurgen Klopp, right? So it's very similar to Ralf Rangnick. The only difference is that Ralf Rangnick at one point came down off the tower and got very involved with Salzburg and Leipzig in particular, partially out of necessity of the situations that they were in. That won't really happen for Klopp because he legit said the only way he's getting back into a managerial chair is if it's with the German national team.
Yes.
So he's got a lot of friends in a lot of these teams. Sandro Schwarz is one of them. They work together at Mainz.
Play together.
Yeah. So Sandro already has his mindset. Anyone who comes through Mainz has the exact same way of playing football. It isn't as effective because, I mean, everybody would love to have the talent that Klopp had at Liverpool. He will be there and he'll give you those PowerPoint talking points, and he'll appear every now and then in a building, but he's not the guy to say that player goes here, this player goes there.
Right.
He's not going to be that guy. He is literally cashing a check, showing up, giving a TED talk every now and then, touring to all the teams. Maybe they'll take his advice, maybe they won't, but the teams in those markets are not going to be affected in the way that you're thinking that, and I wish they were, but they're not going to be affected in that way, much similar to how they were not affected the way Ralf Rangnick did it.
Oh, okay. And here's another thing. What was I going to say? So what's going on in Salzburg, man? Tell me about that.
Oh my God. So this was the biggest surprise I got out of the whole press release, right? It was like, oh, our clubs, Leipzig, Bragantino, Red Bull, and our affiliate clubs, RB Salzburg, Leeds, and then this Japanese team that I still don't know that much about that they're buying. And I always knew that Red Bull was trying to disassociate itself from Salzburg because of the rules in UEFA that you can't own two teams in the Champions League or Europa League or whatever.
Yeah.
They are claiming, and I don't know how true this is, that they have a minority stake in Leipzig to this point. I'm not Leipzig. I'm sorry, in Salzburg. So at this point, Salzburg is a lower priority if you're thinking about who you fully own than Red Bull, Bragantino, and Leipzig. That is what I'm reading into that. If it's different, they can act that way. I know that there is an ownership stake in a that is part of a supermarket branch that ends up sometimes being on the Salzburg logo. I think it's called Ranch Roush, something like that. But I think they have. But the thing with Red Bull that is always a mystery, they are a private company. So finding out the specifics of ownership stake is damn near impossible unless somebody tells you directly to your face.
So the Paris FC thing is they're getting 15% when they're buying into them too.
Oh, yeah.
Which one? Oh, the Paris team. Yeah, something like that. Yeah, I mean, it's probably going to be like
Leeds thing. It's basically the Leeds thing. They got
yeah. So for those that don't know, Leeds, they have a minority ownership stake in Leeds. Their Red Bull is on their shirt. They do not have a say in anything soccer or sporting related for Leeds. They have a seat on the board to vote on financial things, from what I heard, but nothing soccer related.
Same thing with the new Paris deal. I think it's gonna be.
I think so. Yeah.
It's only 15%, and they get the sponsorship deal. I think coming into it.
And Paris FC, I believe, right now is like a League 2 team in France.
Yes.
Yeah.
Also, what was I going to say? Some people would have you believe that I'm a Leeds fan for some reason, Lisa. But that's interesting. I didn't know about that. Ever since Jesse and Tyler left, I basically have been rooting for their demise. So.
Wait, you're not a Leeds fan?
He's a Chelsea fan.
Never.
As a Manchester United fan, I always root for the downfall of Leeds.
I'm a Chelsea fan, so we're not too dissimilar in that. But I always root for y'all.
You don't care about Leeds. You don't care about Leeds.
Not really. I want you guys to fall down, and City.
Everybody wants United to fall.
And Spurs.
All right, we're running out of show.
They never won anything. What's Spurs going to fall to? They don't win anything.
They're annoying. Their existence is annoying. I don't want Arsenal to succeed either, but I'd much rather have them than Spurs.
I can't wait when you and Miguel get together, figure out you flexing your muscles in those two areas, and I have to sit in between them. But meanwhile, speaking about women's sports, the NWSL, of course, over also our secondary tenant, New York, New Jersey, Gotham FC beat Orlando Pride. They're in first place by a score 3-1. Hyatt, Lavelle, and Stevens are the goal scorers. Leal, of course, basically she got herself a penalty, and that's all she wrote. Now, why this is such a big win? There's one league game match left on the NWSL schedule. They're sitting pretty right now in third place, right behind Orlando Pride. They're basically 5 points. I think got 57 points, whereas Gotham FC basically has 53. So remember, in that particular league, the top 8 teams make it in basically a one and done tournament. Top 4 teams naturally get home court. So that's where that stands right now. The next game is playing a NWSL versus Liga MX Feminine Summer. Say that 6 times. Summer Cup final stage, and they're playing against, of course, the Kansas City Current, which means all the Liga MX girls all been dissipated. Their next road game after that, of course, they'll be what else? Yep, they'll be. Get it? Say that.
Utah
Royals. Yep, the Utah Royals for the last game of the season before they play the playoffs. Gotham FC is basically rolling right now. They're unbeaten in 5, gentlemen, and they're doing everything supposed to. When you have a talented squad like this, they are definitely playing. They want to defend the championship, but as we know, things get a little crazy during the playoffs, especially dealing with Orlando.
I also want to mention they added a second loss to Orlando's season. A week earlier, Orlando was thinking they were going to go undefeated the entire year. They are the Shield winners for that. Portland upended that, and Gotham added another loss to their record. So, yeah, Orlando is back to being that cursed NWSL franchise that wonders now, even though they're going to finish first, are they going to be bounced in the playoffs?
As they say. And now we come to as we got less than a minute remaining, now we come to the fun part of the show where Anthony tells the entire group, remember, this is the Red Bull Download episode, what they don't know and what's going on with Red Bull. Here's the fun part. Anthony's been dealing with sessions over in the training ground and everything else, more than I can count, more than I can actually to admit because of my time schedule. So whatever he shares with me, basically is in confidence after they share stuff with him. So Anthony, stage is yours, my man. Let's hear it.
So yeah. So look, this is it's going to be an interesting run. Sandro Schwarz going into this year, barring him being, Gerhard Struber the year before, was always going to the pressure is not on him at the moment. So like if they go out to Columbus, he's not getting fired as far as I know. There's a lot of players that they feel really progressed in this line. There are guys that will not be returning next year, more than likely, whose name I cannot say here live, I should say. But there are a lot of names that we will be seeing a lot more of. Guys like Omar Valencia, guys like Sawada, guys like that that I think next year we'll be seeing taking a big step up for the team from Red Bull 2, who unfortunately did not get into the next pro playoffs. The pipeline is there, and they're going to be focusing on that a lot more next year. I said it earlier, they are looking for a striker going into next year. There are some names I mentioned here. There are other names that have been floated around that aren't even worth mentioning just yet. They are looking for that. They are also looking for a defensive veteran midfielder to fill in a gap. Carballo has not really had enough time yet to be that guy. So far, he has not been that guy. But that is another role that they're looking to shore up as well. There's lots of interest in a lot of the players that are currently here. that may be leaving. We know that Carlos Coronel is sought after. We know that John Tolkien is still sought after. Other guys have really made good names for themselves. Cam Harper, guys like that. Danny Edelman has had some looks as well. So this may be a different team come next year. There are eyes on this club. So while we feel sometimes that it's not going great and it's not amazing, there are a lot of eyeballs. There are always guys in the sky looking at this team and looking to take players from this club.
Okay. And so, I mean, there was a lot to think. Okay, so since our next show is, of course, before the whole fun game, we're not gonna go into we're not going to go to predictions just yet. We're going to save that to episode 126 because that's where the fun begins on Tuesday night. Here's the thing. Okay, here's the thing. I hate this time of year. I really do. Not because it's my birthday, and everything else, where I've never been very successful. The team has never been successful every time I get a year older. But I hate this time of year is because the narrative never ends, right? And it seems that they make the playoffs only to fall flat on their face. We want things to change. So I'm going to ask this question to all three of you. What has to happen absolutely that would make you think things will be different? Anthony, you first.
Oh man. That would make me feel like things are different.
Yeah.
I just in the playoffs or overall next year?
Just in the playoffs.
I think I would need to see the ball fall their way. I think that Red Bull has had a lot of misfortune over the last few years. We look at last year with Cincinnati, Tolkien hitting the post, Goma, skying a penalty. I just want to see the ball turn right as opposed to turning left for them to get them that momentum that gets them through at least the first round of the playoffs.
Lanre.
Basically the same thing. Actually score goals, actually win a damn playoff round. That's at least some form of progress. Unfortunately, now they've made it harder for themselves because they're going up against Columbus as opposed to Cincinnati. And let me just say this. The fact that we finished behind NYCFC, unfortunately, we're kind of used to that the past 4 or 5 years. We finished behind Charlotte FC. Our club has never been more finished, boys. It's never been more finished. And the only way that's going to stop that feeling is if we actually manage to somehow do the impossible and beat Columbus. I don't think it's going to happen, but we'll see.
Okay, going to get destroyed twice. Nick, you have the final word, sir.
Can we play? The only way we're going to do anything this round is if we play 90 minutes. If we don't play 90 minutes, as Matthew just said, we're going to get destroyed twice. But if we play for 90 minutes, we saw what we can do to Columbus. You saw it. That 20-minute period that we played against them can happen because we were hitting them on the counter a lot of good times. We just couldn't score the damn thing. But, hey, give it 90 minutes. Let's see how the ball rolls. You do have a playmaker in Forsberg. Jump on his back and let him carry you. That's all I can say. Hopefully that happens.
It's not the first time he's done that, Anthony. He's done that a lot. He's
jump on his back and let him carry you. That's all we got to do.
That's all we have to do. And so that ends yet another episode. 126 is next week, and that's when the playoffs start. And then that's where you get the crazy predictions and everything, of course, from Carlos and Miguel. Nick, Lanre, thank you very much for your contribution and, of course, your assistance. Anthony, as always, my man, we will see you, of course, at the arena. That's where the fun starts. And for every one of you, don't forget, this show is done and dusted. It will be uploaded for everyone to see on Spotify, X, and of course goals.tv, and of course our YouTube channel. Don't forget to like and subscribe. We got more subscribers later. We're down to 59 and counting. Hopefully we get to triple digits before the end of the year. But as always, if you want to make our show a little better, and if you have any suggestions, comments, questions, everything else, RBG the podcast at gmail.com is the email address. And And of course, as always, you can always catch Anthony Merced and the rest of us, yours truly included, at AJMSportsFC.com, where you can get everything from the New York Red Bulls, NYCFC, and now there's going to be hockey. We're going to be in with the New Jersey Devils and the New Jersey Rangers. So we are expanding, boys and girls. We're all going to be sporting director and everything else. So from all of us here, thanks for everyone for joining us. We will see you guys next week. Until then, thanks for joining us. Good night and goodbye for now.